What is up, YouTube? It's CHEEEEEWSS back at it again with another Albion Online video. This time around, guys, I want to bring your attention to the new patch releasing March 17th. It's called the Call to Arms. Now, there are many changes to this patch, so if you want to learn more about all the changes, comment down below, and if I get enough interest, I'll create a video teaching you guys all about them. So, the main content I wanted to cover in this video is the faction changes. Faction is a fairly big part of the game and provides content for everyone, really, so thought I'd highlight this one specifically. Again, lots of changes to solo, group, and big zergs. Now, coming with the changes obviously comes with confusion, so I want to clear some stuff up for you guys. So, first things first, I'm on the test server so I can properly illustrate the new changes, but just to note, guys, I won't be doing crazy detailed on how to enlist and whatnot. If you want to learn more about those fine details, check out my previous video where I teach all about the factions. So let's get started with the map, and what's changing really, and according to the devs, is that an increased number of royal zones, red, blue, and yellows. And this means more outposts to capture, more zones to invade other faction zones, but also means that you'll take longer to travel around the royals, and obviously transporting the black market got more dangerous. So a little bit more about the different zones. They basically changed the PvP in factions by keeping lethal kills to be only in red zones. So essentially, in the current system, if you're a faction and you go to the blue or yellow zones and you kill your opposite faction, you can loot them. They're fully dead. In this new change, you can only fully kill somebody in the red zones only. So let's talk a little bit more about the stars and the bars on these maps. Obviously, these are brand new. And how does this work? What does this mean? So with this new faction update, factions will be able to capture the region, kind of like the zone. Now they can gain control over the region, and what this allows you to do is you can basically create a new front to your region, so it's harder for other factions to capture, and allows the factions to respawn at that area. Now obviously respawning if it's a non-lethal area, meaning yellow or blue zones. Now, if the region is separated from your other regions, then you can no longer spawn there. So, to take control of these regions, essentially factions have to gain the majority of the outpost within it. And that's what the bar means, right? So, obviously, there's 5 outposts in this region. If a guild holds all 5, then the bar is going to be fully filled with that faction. If the faction only has 2 or 3, then you're going to see the respective 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, etc. Now, keep in mind, there are higher rewards in the red zone compared to the yellow and blue, obviously, and this goes by their philosophy, high risk, high reward, so that's kind of standard. But really, this comes with a new faction, and that's the exciting piece, is the Carleon Bandit faction. And essentially, this is the same as other factions, but with a few other details that you guys got to know about, but also, Carleon faction is going to have the most rewards. So number 1 is that Carleon factions do not share points. So what this means is that you can't just AFK and generate points from other people fighting other factions. And you could do this with all the other factions, where as long as you're enlisted as a faction, you can just sit in town AFK and generate points as long as you're online. But with Carleon, because you don't share points, you only gain the points that you go ahead and gain through content, through PvE, through gathering, whatever it is. We'll talk about that later. Number 2, Carleon faction can attack anyone, even if they're own faction. So really bandit style, you're gonna have a lot of backstabbing, and it's just gonna be a lot of fun, to be honest with you guys. But at the same time, a lot more dangerous. Point number 3 is Carleon faction will give you the most rewards out of all factions. I believe I captured this already, but when you capture outposts, regions, even the rewards, Carleon faction will give you the highest rewards. And this, again, is high risk, high reward. It's the most dangerous faction, and so you should be rewarded for that. So before we talk about the kind of rewards, let's understand how a player can gain these points. Well, similar to before, you gain points when you enlist and flagged as a faction, and run the various types of content. So the first is capturing outposts and regions. These will give you probably the highest rewards out of all the other content, and that's because SBI wants to promote PvP type content. Then something that's brand new is these weekly reports, and these weekly reports essentially sum up your performance under that faction and essentially gives you a bonus point for your contributions. Now, along with this is obviously you've got the Gathering and PvE, which is in the current system, but is actually being nerfed, and so you're not going to get as much points as PvP type content. So just keep that in mind. And it should also be noted that different factions also give different bonuses. And this is a brand new system, and it obviously depends on if the faction is losing or winning. So if the faction is winning, then they'll give you less points than the faction that's losing. And essentially the rationale is if you're in the losing faction, the faction is willing to give you more points to beat the other faction. Now that we know the various types of ways to gain points, let's talk a little bit more about the rewards. So the rewards are similar to the previous system with the addition of some new special mounts, some crests for the new capes, but also they've got this new chest, which, you know what, doesn't actually seem to be worth it. But again, we'll have to wait and see what changes in the market. That way we can determine their worth. So now that we know all the changes, let's talk about some important pieces. And guys, if you've made it this far in the video, thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate the support. If you guys want to enter in the faction giveaway that I'm going to be running for this video, smash that like button, subscribe, and comment your in-game name in the comment section below. In this giveaway, I'm planning to give away a whole bunch of these new mounts that are coming out, so stay tuned for that. So back to the important pieces. When the patch hits, here is what I recommend. Number 1, choose the faction which you have the most points and interested to fight for. And this is because all your other faction points will be reset to 0. So if you've maxed out already all your factions, just keep that in mind. All that hard work is gone. The next step is, if you want to enlist for Carleon, I suggest you enlist with a different city faction to gain the points, then faction for Carleon. And this is because nobody has Carleon faction points. This is brand new. And so instead of starting from scratch anyway, you might as well enlist with another faction, gain the titlement, and then switch over to Carleon. That way, at least you've gained something for that faction. Now, the last step is, if you're not already highly ranked in a faction that you're going to be wanting to be enlisted in, I suggest you go ahead and grind out some points before the patch hits. That way, when you begin, you're already high ranking in that faction and you get the good rewards. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more tips and whatnot on the coming update, comment down below. And guys, don't forget, if you want to enter that giveaway, which will have all the various elite mounts, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and comment your in-game name below. As always guys, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!